Now, I have found myself on Wentworth Road, Strathfield, where I used to work. I'm going to flip my camera around in a minute, but I thought I'd just spend a few minutes walking back on memory lane or something like that. I've just realised I can't flip my camera around. Anyway, I might just...
Did you manage to...
Here I am at what used to be OTEN, but now it's called TAFE Strathfield, I suppose. So I first came into this campus. I was working at something called the Open High School, and my head teacher, this is at Redfern, my head teacher asked me to pop down and pick up some print materials, because back in the olden days, that was in 1994, I think, or possibly 95, maybe it was 94. Anyway, the students used to get materials posted out to them that were printed, and we ran out for some reason, and we could have got it couriered, I suppose, but I caught the train out from Strathfield to from Redfern. I'm rambling a little bit, sorry, and I came here on the train to Strathfield. Now, the reason why I'm taking you down here is because this whole area, you can probably see by the ceiling, this whole building was the printery. They would get the electronic files and physically print booklets and cassette tapes, VHS videos. This is in an era before even DVDs and before the internet. It sounds a little bit crazy, I know, but I don't even know what's in this block now. I won't get too close, but this was like the distribution, and right at the back of the building, people that worked here, this would be very familiar to them, because most people that work here, they come in through the back, which is this kind of the loading dock. So basically this would be printing like leaflets and learning materials, and then they'd get picked up, or most of them were part of the teaching that was done at OTEN. But because the Open High School, I don't know why they were kind of not, they didn't come out to Strathfield. This was a purpose-built building, and it was really trendy at the time. It was a consortium between TAFE, New South Wales, and school education, and it was a purpose-built building for this thing called distance and rural education. And so there's no classrooms here, just offices and the teaching staff. But the default, there's an OTEN, there's a little OTEN, someone's made it in the garden. So this was, I don't even know what was here before, but it was a purpose-built building, and the organisation was Open Training and Education Network, and most of it was run out of Redfern, but as I understand it, there was also offices in Central. They all came together, and where I was working, the Open High School, was left behind for some reason. So I spent a couple of years out at Redfern. So I had to come out one day and I picked up my learning materials, and then I thought, this would be a nice place to work. So I also used to go to these educational technology sessions on, like, Monday night or something. that Australian Society of Educational Technology, I think. We'd go to the Powerhouse Museum or the ABC or wherever, and a lot of the people that would turn up to those, they worked at OTEN. So I used to think, maybe I would like to work here one day. It was such a grand, trendy building. And the thing is, they used to offer seminars. And so a lot of the seminars we're in the building now, obviously. Around to the left here, these were the seminar. There's a few classes going on, so I won't talk that loudly. But these seminars, because this new thing called the internet was really capturing everyone's attention, so they used to hold these seminars on a, weeknight for all the staff. So because I was at Open High School, I used to attend, and they used to have like a sit-down dinner. It was very well catered, as I remember. So I probably came out here about 5 times. The TAFE Digital Campus was this thing that they were conceiving, and but I didn't actually work here, and so a couple of years later, I ended up coming out. I might go upstairs because that's where I used to work. So if we climb the stairs, these stairs never used to have this grill. It was always a bit, used to get vertigo. And there never used to be a cafe there, but there is now. But it's 3 floors. So my desk, I came out I think it was 2 days a week, and I was writing agriculture material because I am a science teacher. So I guess I knew enough. I was teaching agriculture at Open High School, so I used to work out of this corner, which is now a little training room, I think. There's some training going on there, so I won't get too close. That used to be the IT support in there. My desk was in there, so I spent a lot of time around this area, and my role was to sit and write learning materials related to agriculture, chicken farming, beef cattle, and then that contract was not ongoing, so it did come to an end unexpectedly. However, I was a bit of a man with the plan, and so I went to a little professional development something or other in one of these rooms about 360. You could take lots of images, make a little 360 animation, and then I connected with one of the managers that was in the multimedia unit, and a significant part of what I forgot to say was I was doing extra study at Crow's Nest TAFE that was Certificate 4 in IT multimedia. And so while I used to come out from the Open High School and I did my come out from the Open High School and I'd do those professional development sessions, I'd come out and do writing for 2 days a week, and then that didn't last, but then I came back full time and my desk was in there, but most of the action happened. This looks very much like an office at the moment, and it is, but back in the late 90s, this was like a showcase kind of, we used to call it the fish bowl, and this is where all the designers used to sit. Designers and programmers and other media specialists, and it was really dimly lit, but it was definitely a mid-90s aesthetic, And then the library, there used to be a library there, but I think they're just more offices. But essentially, for the next 5 years or so, I was managing projects, so it was really quite a good job. It was used all the skills that I had learnt at Crow's Nest TAFE, and I spent about 5 very enjoyable years managing probably small groups, little project-based groups of designers, teachers, content specialists, media editors, to come up with CD-ROMs, which are now completely irrelevant. But my desk was in here. I won't go in there. And then that job came to an end. I'll just show you here, because this is where all the teachers, this is called TAFE Digital now. This is where all the teachers sit. So there's no classrooms, there's just rows and rows and rows of offices, and they're teachers that are, this used to be a specialist centre that delivered distance and remote learning. However, around that time, every TAFE started delivering remote and distance courses, because the internet was becoming quite a beast and it was becoming viable. It was still very difficult to actually get anything kind of transferred, because the speed was very slow relative to now, broadband. And so it was like this kind of hybrid approach. Sometimes you'd get stuff mailed out, sometimes you'd get a video on a CD-ROM or still a cassette tape. I know there was talk when DVDs were launched that there was reluctance to embrace even CDs. They wanted to stick with cassette tapes, and then DVDs they didn't want to start producing, and the decision was made, we'll just stick with this emerging thing. That's when the LMS, Learning Management System, came about, where online delivery became more viable with faster speed. But then for me, there was lots of restructures, and in one of those, I went through in my working time maybe about 6 restructures. And so in one of those restructures, it meant that the CD-ROM was dead, and so I just spent the last few years, I was shunted, that's not a very nice word, but I had a new desk upstairs, and I pretty much was working in Word documents, marking them up, and the Word document would produce HTML files that were then uploaded into a learning management system, and then there was always the print version. Anyway, I spent a little bit of time working in here. We used to call this the train spotters area, because, well, obvious reasons, no trains at the moment. So for the last few years, I sat around in this area, marking up Word documents. I might just go out to, there's a little balcony I used to go out to. So I used to sit here on this balcony and work on my print material for the chicken farmers and poultry, broiler production, I think it was more accurately described. And when I was it was called Learning Materials Production Centre, which was like another little division within OTEN. But then I found myself coming up here again after my fabulous 5 years in the multimedia area, working on Word documents again, and then I ended up leaving. The whole kind of restructure, they got me in the end. So all up, I was working here for about 14 years, I believe. So now I have come back. I left in 2007. So now it's 2026, so that's about 20 years or so. And there's lots of changes, but you know, it's enjoyable just to reacquaint with the same furniture, same tree, same courtyard. But yeah, the whole concept of designing and delivering via distance is not just a specialist role now. It's obviously you can do it anywhere, and that, you know, it's interesting how it has changed and shifted. So I think I will bring my little tour to an end. Thanks for watching.